It's a really good question. You're in a game of business. You're going to get rejected hundreds. If you realize, okay, I send 25 messages, 24 rejects me, and one says yes, straight away I go, well, fucking, I need to send more messages then. Another thing I think is important is having great content. We'll talk about our unique 5-phase methodology. So people going, oh, what's your unique? They're interested. I haven't heard of this before. I think they're based off experience. You have a solution to completely change somebody's life. My advice for somebody who feels like they are getting complacent is to sit down and really come to terms with what do you actually want to do in the industry? Oh, that's an interesting question.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. Today we're joined with Reece Hallard. Reece runs one of the biggest kind of coaching businesses in the UK. So Reece, thank you for jumping on today.
No, dude, thank you for having me on. Absolute pleasure. Looking forward to the next 45 minutes or so.
Amazing. Reece, for people that might be a little bit not so sure, like who you are, what you do, could you give us a bit of a breakdown?
Absolutely. I try to keep it short and sweet. Usually if I'm on a podcast, I end up rambling on for ages. But long story short, grew up wanted to be a professional football player and kind of just stumbled into the gym when I realised I was good enough to try out pro clubs and when I was getting contracts. I thought, what's the next logical thing? I'll go to the gym. So I started just working out. I was a gym apprentice, like many people are. I was earning £3.20 an hour. And it's quite funny, actually. I still remember my the owners of the gym. They were really good business people. They were students of Grant Cardone. And I still remember them saying to me, you know, there's no future in fitness. Like personal training, you won't make too much money. You know, why don't you go and come with us? We're going to open a chain of Solo Fitness Time. We're going to open a chain of gyms. You know, you can be general manager. You can work within sales here, commission. You can earn so much more as a person than you would as a personal trainer. And at the time, I was like, well, yeah, she sounds good. So I kind of followed their advice. You know, the catch-22 is they actually went out of business in the end. So I thought, right, I better make this personal training work. So I've done personal training every hour on the gym floor, like most people. COVID hit, went online, and my only regret was I didn't do that sooner. So I've been online ever since the first lockdown in the UK.
Amazing. And what did you find have been kind of your biggest lessons from those guys when you first started? Was there anything they were doing like really well, or was it?
It's a really good question. If I'm honest with you, I think the biggest lesson I learned from them is the importance of mentorship, because they were my first mentors, Rochelle and Josh at the time. They were my first mentors, and I was 16 years old, and they were mentoring me, but I didn't really realize it. You know, just being in their presence, watching what they do, how they operate, you know, how they talk. So what would happen is they would often, if new members come into the gym, we'll give them a tour and sell to them. And I had to role play with them, so they'll give me feedback. So they were kind of mentoring me to obviously fulfill a sales role for them. And obviously watching them get mentored by Grant Cardone, I kind of was introduced to that world quite early. So I think the biggest lesson I learned for them was the importance of actually having someone who's been where you want to be or has a track record of doing what you want to do and seeking help from them. I think for me is the biggest lesson I took from them. Absolutely.
Amazing. And in terms of the next steps after that, so you went into online. Bit of a weird question, I don't think many people ask, but what have you found to be your kind of best uses of your own time and also money in terms of growing the online, like at that point on?
Absolutely. It's a good question. I think for me, the best uses of my time, I suppose it kind of starts with a realization that I was kind of just going, right, I'm online now. I'm just going to wait for the clients to come to me, right? So I'm going to post content and that's enough. I post content. This is how it works. You know, you post content and people come to you. That's how I thought it worked. I didn't know no better. So I think for me, one thing I realized early that's important is you kind of got to go after it. You know, you've got to go out, you've got to have conversations. And the easiest way I kind of look at it from like, you know, what you guys do with your agency as well is the same way. If you're on a gym floor, you would walk up to people, you'd have conversations, you know, you know, new members come through the front door. Hey, how's your trainer going? You just be a human, right? You just have conversation with them. I didn't realize it was the same thing online. I didn't realize that you've got to go and start conversations with people how you would on the gym floor. Like it was a new world to me. So I just thought, yeah, chuck up a training reel and loads of people will come. So I think realizing the same way you would have conversations on the gym floor is the same way you should have conversations online with people was massive for me. And I think as soon as I started spending my time, effort and energy just having as many conversations as possible, providing as much value as possible, I think I realized that then pays its dividend back in return, and they come to me with coaching as soon as they think, I need a coach. Oh, that guy Reece, he sent me a message a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I do need some help. Okay, I'm going to give him a message. And I think that was a big realization for me. And I'm quite curious for you as well, because obviously you was, doing online coaching as well. How about yourself from the gym floor to going online? What was realizations you had?
The biggest was, again, very similar to you in terms of like not getting too fancy with just doing stuff just for the sake of it. Like this, just auditing your time very well is a big realization in terms of you can get caught up spending 10 hours a week doing Canva graphics. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Agreed.
So like just being very meticulous with like auditing your time and what it brings back. With the conversations, one thing coaches would come up and say often in conversations is it's hard to send conversations because it's like if I send 25 and 24 ignore me, that's me being turned down 24 times. How do you structure your mindset to not feel like you're getting constantly rejected?
If I'm honest, I think it's more of a harsh realization for me. You're in a game of business. You're gonna get rejected. Hundreds and like you get rejected in every walk of life doing whatever you do. Like, let's say for instance you have a businessman, right? And everyone listening to this podcast, I presume, run a business. This person might go to multiple different companies with a presentation. This is my product. This is what I want to pitch you. And they're trying to get, it might be Dragon's Den, right? They're going, they're pitching that product. You think it's the first time they've ever pitched their product? Absolutely not. They've gone to this place being rejected, that place being rejected, that place being rejected. And now the right person goes, actually, I like what you're saying here. Let me get some more information. Same thing online. You're going to get rejected 24 times and the 25th might join. It's just the game of... So for me, I think managing expectations for coaches is key. You're going to get rejected. It's a business. Like every business that I can kind of think of will have some kind of rejection somewhere. It's just the game that you're playing. So for me, I would say if you realize, okay, I send 25 messages, 24 rejects me and one says yes, straight away I go, well, fucking, I need to send more messages then. If every 25 messages I send, one says yes, I better send 500 a day, because that means I'm going to get insert maths of how many messages that is for a response, which means I'm that closer to a client. So everything comes down to data. And I think the way someone can overcome the mindset of rejection is understanding and managing expectation. The game of business is rejection. It's going to happen. And the more, you can do it, get rejected and take data and feedback as to why. So like, for instance, if I go, right, I'm sending this message out to everyone and I'm getting rejected 25 times. Okay, cool. Let me tweak this message. Let me change this word with this word and let me personalize this a little bit more. Okay, great. I sent 25 messages out here. I got 3 responses. That's better. Great. What if I change this word with this word and I maybe start with this? Cool. I got 10 responses out of 25. It's getting better. And you just learn and get feedback. And I think it's so important. So I would say volume there, getting the feedback, understanding rejection is normal and using the rejection as data as to how you can improve moving forward.
And then it removes a lot of that stress in terms of, like, this doesn't work. You've got the data to.
And I think that's when business becomes more predictable, because it's an unpredictable game. But if you're just posting content and hoping people just come and knock on you and go, hey, can I pay you? It's like, you're asking a lot. Like, it don't work like that. And you're building a business of hope and dreams. I think just having a good strategy where you're going to people, you're starting conversations, you've got data as to this is how many conversations for a reply, this is how many replies for a call, this is how many calls for a sale, this is how many sales to hit my target to be able to improve my program and so forth. I think that's when it becomes a bit more predictable to grow a business, as opposed to just kind of hoping and wishing it's going to grow by posting, my top 3 tips to stop snacking.
And I guess that's where, like, as well, it's having that data. If you hide away from like any kind of data for anything, if you hide away from, like, you don't want to know it, that's when it becomes it compounds and it gets worse over time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think data is just everything, and it's everything in every business, right? Same way, like, over the course of this podcast, you hear a lot of shit analogies. This is one of them. If you go to the doctor, right, and you go, this is my problem, you would hope that he's going to go, cool, let me look at the data we've got, maybe your history, and go, okay, does this link anywhere? Probably the best way to find out your problem and get the right antibiotics to find a solution, right? It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of shit analogies, but that's one of them.
Yeah. So it removes the emotion of, like, of stress and, like, oh, I don't know what doesn't work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So conversations is one of the big habits what are the other? Do you have any other big habits? Any other big like things in your day that you're like, this needs to be done if I want to get more clients or if I want to drive things forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're talking heavily about, making sure we're getting conversations had and stuff, but that doesn't obviously take away the importance of creating good content, right? Because your crap content, you start conversations, people go on your page and go, that guy ain't for me. So I think, just speak, another thing I think is important is having great content. I think that is important, spending time on it and understanding how important it is, because that's your shop window, right? Like, your shop window is where your content is, where people go on and have a last little look, see if they want to join up and stuff. So I think it is important, but I just wanted to put that one in there so it doesn't sound like we're just saying outbounds. Everything, organic content is really important. But in regards to things that I would do every day, I mean, I think for me, learning and understanding the power of delegation has been massive. I think it always depends on where you are in your journey as a coach, but staff delegation, it's just leverage. And if you can leverage your time by, one of the best practices I've done, a mentor of mine told me this a couple of years ago, is work out your hourly rate, right? So it could be taking your monthly revenue, you divide that by the amount of hours you work, your yearly revenue divided by the amount of hours you work. That's technically your hourly rate. And anything that's below the hourly rate, delegate. So whether that's cleaning your house, cleaning your car, editing your videos, doing your outreach, whatever it may be, delegate anything under that number. Because if your going rate, let's just say, pluck a number out of the sky, is £120 an hour, right? Random number. If you are, let's say, editing your videos, which is a £15 an hour task, there's a massive gap there of potential you're missing as a business owner. So I think one thing that I've learned and implemented as like a daily non-negotiable is, the power of delegation and leverage, I would say.
Yeah. And you delegate, you free up time, and then do you find you have like that grey area in between where you've got the extra time, and how do you know what to fill it up with? Or do you...
Yeah, it's a good question. I did get to a point where I was sitting there, I was like, I've got so much time on my hands. Like, I've delegated everything. I'm just sitting there thinking, what do I do? But I think at that point, it's book calls, close calls. Like, if I'm thinking I've got a spare 5 hours today, I'm thinking that's 5 calls I need to book in. So I think any spare hour, I'm just trying to find calls to get into the diary. So it did get to the point where I was sitting there thinking, I got so much time on my hands, but then I thought that's just me being lazy with my time. Go get some more calls in.
And that's an interesting point, because that's the stuff you do on day one, but close calls are still exactly the same as 4 or 5 years later.
Everyone I speak to and are in a close circle with, you ask them, what are you doing to hit the numbers you're hitting, or to be at such a high level with 50 plus employees and so forth? Book calls, close calls. Every time. It's as simple as that. You book calls, close calls. And again, it's not to take and that's, kind of assuming that you have a good infrastructure in place. Your retention's good. You've got a nice community, and these kind of things are almost in place already. If they're not in place, it's maybe a good place to start. Make sure you've got a good community, your program's in a good place, and you've got the foundations and infrastructure laid. Once your foundations, your infrastructure's laid, you've got a good program, you get good results, you've got a good community, and the fulfillment side is in a good place, then it's the mindset of book calls, close calls.
And with that, how do you find? I know people often talk about the biggest stuff to look at, tasks to look at auditing your time on would be like the content editing, mm-hmm. the outreach, and then fulfillment as well. Do you have an order in terms of when or what priorities you look at outsourcing first? Again, making it maybe super like...
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always kind of refer back to what is taking up the most time and what's most important for the business at the moment in time. So it's kind of hard to, because I think it's more of an individualized answer. So like, for instance, if someone's sitting there thinking, my fulfillment, like my retention's really bad, like my retention's low. Okay, cool. Fulfillment might be a priority at the moment. Or they might think, well, actually, my retention's great. Like, I got clients, lifetime values, we've got a good 14-month retention rate. Great, fantastic. Maybe my priority is going to be somewhere else. I think it's more of an individualized thing. For me, I've always prioritized fulfillment in the respect that I've always wanted to be prided on great retention. I think you have clients that stay in the business longer, your revenue is going to be higher, and most importantly, you get even better results, because it's a results game, right? You get amazing results, you grow a business. Like that's number one. Results is number one. So I think fulfillment's always been my priority, but when the business got to the point where, you know, we can have coaches on the team, we can outsource some fulfillment and things are somewhat on autopilot, at that point, it then obviously shifted for me to be more outreach, to be more paid media and so forth.
Yeah, amazing. And with the content, one thing I did want to mention is you're like exceptional in terms of just grabbing attention from a content perspective, like waving the fat loss, the pop. How do you think of, or what's the kind of like rule of thumb stuff in terms of actually getting attention, and like how important is it to?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think in 2024, you've got to be living under a rock if you're not aware of first 3 to 5 seconds is important, grab the hook, like the whole Hormozy style. Like, but I think content is something that coaches should really spend time on, but don't overthink. I mean, like, for instance, I recently went on like a content trip to Miami, took my videographer out there as well. And it's like, I know there's incredible gyms, there's sea, there's sand, there's palm trees, engagement's going to go up. Like, you kind of need to be prepared to do things like that to get content. Like if you just kind of just sit there and go, right, I'm going to create some content. I'm just going to whack together a Greek yogurt, scoop of protein and some berries and tell everyone to try my Biscoff cheesecake bloody breakfast. It's great, but you're not really going to be pushing those boundaries. So like in the scenario I'm using is we went to a gym like called No Limits, for instance. It's like a bright neon gym. Like it's incredible. So I thought, right, take my props. I'm chucking props around in this bright neon gym. All of a sudden, people are watching the video because the neon gym. They think, what the fuck is going on here? So, you know, you just got to capture attention, because I think in this day and age, in 2024, in the age of TikTok and YouTube Shorts, everything is about grabbing attention. You know, what you need to bear in mind, if someone's on an iPhone on social media, they've probably got multiple group chats. They've got people texting them, calling them. They've got notifications. They're scrolling through. They've got a short attention span. They're looking for quick videos. They're looking for things that are going to grab their attention and it's actually going to suck them in to watch whatever it may be. So if your videos are super bland and boring and they get a notification come out, they're going to leave that video or they're just going to scroll past it. So it's just grabbing attention. But grabbing attention is obviously stage one. You need to keep their attention. So like little things that we do is... you know, we try to make every 5 to 10 seconds we move the camera angle, we change somewhere else, and little things like that. We find the watch time goes up, and we also just try. One thing we used to do too much is we just used to waffle. Like we thought, oh, we've got to get at least a minute here, so let's just keep talking about the same thing over and over. Like we try to just get the point across as soon as possible in Reels now, and that's works quite well for us.
Yeah, so keep it as short as possible, get to the hook within the first 3 to 5 seconds, change the camera angle.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily keeping it as short as possible. I think it's just cutting the waffle. Yeah. I think I was just waffling, like for my own personal content anyway, I was just kind of talking for the sake of talking. And I was just on Reels, just kind of repeating myself. So I think for me, it was just cutting out a bit of waffle. But, you know, don't get me wrong. If you've got a point to get across, take a little bit longer. Because if it's valuable, people watch it. If you're, you know, talking some stuff and it's really valuable, people are interested, they want to know more. It doesn't matter if it's 30 seconds or 2 minutes, I'll spend the time on it if it's that valuable, right? So one, I suppose, hack for the viewers here that they can take away and implement is create some unique methods and, you know, give them names. And like what we do, for instance, when we talk on Reels, we'll talk about our unique 5-phase methodology. So people going, what's your unique? They're interested. I haven't heard of this before. Phase 1, design and dominate. Phase 2, recomp and self-mastery. Phase 3, customization. Phase 4, body sprint. And phase 5 is reward phase. People haven't heard of these phases. I know these phases. I talk about our hybrid nutrition system. So I created this about 3 years ago when I actually saw Mark Zuckerberg wears a blue pair of jeans and a white t-shirt every single day. And obviously, like 5 pairs of jeans, 5 white t-shirts. You just rotate them every day. So he basically removes decision fatigue. And I work with a lot of high performers. So I thought, these guys are busy. Surely we can do this with nutrition. So I go, right, we've got a hybrid nutrition system. People go, I haven't heard of that before. It's meal plans, putting your nutrition on complete autopilot. Then you have high nutrition days on the weekend where you can go out, date night, out with the friends or client dinners, and you can have more calories to expend. We find it's the most successful for our members. People go, oh, I haven't heard of that member before. I haven't heard of that, you know, nutrition system. That's quite interesting. So people pay attention because it looks different. So for those listening, maybe creating some unique methods to their program, to their training protocols, to their nutrition, even if it's simple, like even if you're just, you know, carb cycling them, call it a high-low method, right? Like give it something that's just going to kind of make you go, oh, I haven't heard of that before. What's he talking about? It kind of drives a lot of attention as well. So I think that's quite good.
Are those pillars and those things based on your own personal interests and your own personal style of training?
Yeah, so I think they're based off experience through A, my own transformation, and B, the members we've worked with. So I've kind of refined these phases as we go, and I feel like I've got these phases to a point now where they fit our ICA perfect. Like the people that we work with, these methods fit them perfect. So, but it's been like years of refining and just making it better. So when I created my methods, I looked at the clients I work with, the way I like to coach, the kind of things I like. For instance, I won't put my clients through an off-season phases and these. My clients don't like that. Like my clients like to be, lean all year round, and they have work and responsibility, and they're not prepared to that into the ground. Like you got to kind of think, instead of going, that person's got this method, that looks good, I'm going to do it. I would try to just be creative and think, how do I like to coach? What are my methods anyway? Are you keto? Do you like fasting? Do you put your members on no fruit? Like, what do you do with your members? Look at that and give it a name, right? Try to make it unique and try to make it something that's more personalized to your program, as opposed to going, oh, he does a high-low method, I'm going to do a high-low method, and just say I do the same thing, because then it just becomes that thing that, oh, I've heard that 100 times before. So that's, I would say, experience and your own transformation journey, what work for you. And that usually tends to be what you attract as well.
Amazing. So that's kind of the bulk of that's 80% of the content structure. How does it look when you go heavier towards like launches and stuff like that? Because I know you crush it with those on the front end.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, when we're doing a launch, there's always got to be a reason. So instead of just going, I'm looking for 5 clients, it's like, right, well, you probably are. You run a business, you probably always look for 5 clients. It's like, instead of going, I'm looking for 5 clients, you want to drop body fat, DM me the word 2024. It's like, okay, cool. If you're doing it, it's like a big celebration, a big reason, it's an event, right? Like when you look at, let's give it an example, right? Because example is always the easiest way to paint a picture. If you look at the recent Fury Ngannou fight, if anyone who watches a bit of boxing out there, I can't remember what they called it, Clash of the Titans or some shit, I can't remember what they called it, but Battle of the Baddest, that's what they called it. And now they've created this big event, right? It's a Battle of the Baddest event. It's over here, it's in Saudi Arabia, and they made this massive thing of it. All of a sudden, I'm buying a pay-per-view. So I'm thinking, this sounds cool. Like, this is a big event. This is a big to-do. Like, everyone's talking about it. It's kind of similar. You want to celebrate something. So, for instance, it could be your birthday. Right, I've turned 25 this year, and I'm super happy. 25 trips around the sun. Here's what I've learned. Here's my big lessons. This year we've worked with this many members who's achieved this many things, and they've accumulated, dropped this much body fat. It's been such a pleasure to work with these people, and I want to celebrate with you who support my work. Because of that, I'm looking for X amount of clients who want to achieve X, and we're going to be giving away X. So like, what I mean by that is, it's also important that you kind of have an incentive and a bit of urgency with it. So I might say, for instance, for the next 5 members that join to celebrate my birthday and celebrating with the people who support me on my page, we're going to give a Fitbit to the next 5 members who join. Random example, right? Or like, we run what's called a scholarship promotion, where it's like we're giving away £23,000 worth of scholarships. So if you join a program, you've basically got to tell me why this is so important to you, why you want to win a scholarship, and then I can decide how much scholarship money you win towards your program. I do that to celebrate Black Friday, my program anniversary, my birthday. It could be a personal milestone. So we done one last year when I completed my photo shoot. Great. It's a reason to celebrate. It's a massive personal milestone. I'm really happy I've been able to achieve this. And, you guys have been supporting me along the way. I've been documenting my journey, and to celebrate finishing my photo shoot and learning X, Y, and Z throughout the process, I'm looking for X amount of clients who want to do the same thing. Your photo shoot's completely included in this program. So you're giving away a photo shoot that goes with it to celebrate your photo shoot. It makes sense. And they go, okay, cool. Like, I get a photo shoot involved. There's reason for me to join now. If you say I'm looking for 5 clients, you're going to be looking for them again in 3 weeks and 8 weeks and 12 weeks. I'll join then when I'm ready. But I think this way it just gives it a bit more urgency.
Yeah, and that's where, like you say, creating that, making it into an event just makes it very unique.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
So how would you keep it in mind in terms of posting schedule? Like, do you typically, when you run like a scholarship offer, or when you do it, like, do you post like consistently about the same thing for 5 days, 7 days, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of launch you're doing. So like, if you're doing like a really big launch, like Black Friday, for instance, For us, Black Friday kills it. It's a really good opportunity for us. So what we kind of do, and we work with a lot of members from the US as well, and it's quite big in US culture, Black Friday, so it works quite well for us. So something like that, what I'm thinking to myself is, okay, I've got to kind of compete with the big brands, Currys, Argos. How can I compete with £1,000 off a sofa? I'm going to launch right at the beginning. So I'm gonna do this on the 7th of November. So I'm going to launch for 3 weeks because I need a little bit, get ahead, beat the big brands to the punch, right? So a launch like that, I might go 3 weeks. If it's like birthday launch, I might keep it 10 days. I would say typically around 10-day period. But you don't want to oversell. If it just looks like you're just selling and selling and selling, engagement will drop. People will lose a bit of trust with you. So you still want to provide a bulk of value within your launch. So what I would do is I'll tease the launch the day prior, launch the day of, which is whatever offer I'm giving out. Then I'll still keep giving value. So I'll still post normal content. Hey, here's 3 mistakes you're making with X. Here's 3 ways you can improve your bench press. Here's 3 ways you can do this. So I'll still give that content. But throughout, what I want them to know is the results that they're going to expect on the program. So I do a post talking about here's the results that you can expect on the program. On average, our members lose 10% body fat in the first 12 weeks. On average, our members get to day 90, 23.3 pounds down, and actually get the data, get the real life numbers of what your clients got. I also want them to know what my program phases are. So I'm going to say, look, when you come into the program, here's how we achieve the results that we do. Phase 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this. So kind of just let them get to know the program. I don't ever tell them what's involved though, right? Because I think the biggest mistake people make is they do a launch and they go, we have a training app, we have training programs, we've got nutrition programs, we've got video testimony, video demonstrations. And it's like, they don't care. They want to know what result they're getting. And the kind of example I use, another shit analogy, if you go into a mechanic, right, and you go, right, my car's fucked, mate, I've got a scratch around the back, any chance you can fix it? They're going to go, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the heat gun on it, and then we're going to paint over it, and then we're going to get the coating. You're going to make, can you fix my car? Like, you don't care, just fix my car, right? They're the same. They just want results. So instead of overwhelming them with every feature you have under the sun, that it's going to make them go, there's a lot going on here, I'm overwhelmed, let me think about it. Just tell them the result. So when I'm launching, the information I want them to know is just the result that they can expect on the program. And then when I'm telling them how we get that result, it's the phases, not the features. So I'm saying these are our 5 phases, not training program, nutrition program, Like, you can tell them your methods, but don't give them every single feature under the sun. You get check-ins at 5 minutes, you get community group, you overwhelm them, and they just want to go away and think about it.
And I guess that's where also, if you have people asking about all the small stuff, they're probably typically people that are probably checking out like loads of different.
Yeah, likely. Yeah. You kind of want to get to the point where your results almost speak for themselves. So like, you can share shit in a can, but if it gets them abs for summer, they'll probably buy it. Like, for instance, if I said to someone, right, or you got one person who wants a result and you got 2 coaches. One coach A says, you're going to get an okay result. It's not going to be great. You're going to get an okay result, but you get this really cool app. It's got a logo right in the top corner that looks really, really nice. Every video is me talking you through how to do it. The experience is amazing, which, by the way, is really important. You can do have a good experience, but the results can be average. Coach B goes, I'm just going to write up your thing on a pen and paper. I'll send you a photo over on WhatsApp, but it's definitely and guaranteed going to completely transform you by summer. Who do you think she's going to want to go with, right? She wants the result. So I think from that, it's just always selling the result. And again, experience is important, and I don't want to disregard that because that's where retention comes from, right? But I think kind of specifically during a launch, talk about the result of the program, not the features.
Then that's where like that makes it a lot easier to not overwhelm yourself with like trying to do,
Absolutely.
With your offer, what's the process in terms of making that offer and that result you talk about irresistible to anything else out there? Yeah. And then getting people to think this is the one thing I need?
Yeah, I mean, that it is important. Like, I think the word you used is irresistible, right? And I think, like, I'm pretty sure most people have read $100 million offers, right? Or 100 million offers. Read it, and then read it again. Because if you don't know how to make an offer, it tells you for free, right? Like, it breaks down perfectly how to make an offer, how to make it irresistible, right? So, like, it is like getting the result that's an absolute dream, add in a super strong guarantee. So we have a better than money back guarantee. Don't get the result, we'll refund you every penny, and we will coach you for free until you get the result. On top of that, we'll give you $1,000 for wasting your time. fucking hell, really? That's irresistible. Wow. Now they're thinking this is irresistible. Like, I get a result guaranteed, or can I get my money back? Like, I don't lose. Like, I either look amazing or I just get my money back. Like, fucking, what have I got to lose here? And now that's irresistible. Now the person's like, I mean, there's no reason for me not to do this now, right? So if you haven't read that book, just read it 5 times over and you'll have an irresistible offer. Like, it breaks it down, quote unquote, perfectly.
Amazing. And then with the other element of it in terms of the, I guess from a like selling perspective, one thing I guess maybe with both, I guess from a UK background, it's a thing that gets quite like a bad rep in terms of selling, getting people on calls, or like it's unethical. What's your mindset around selling? Like what does that mean to you, like in terms of like if you think of selling? Or
I'll tell you something that changed my life when I was a little bit younger. A mentor of mine told me once, and after my first mentor was in the gym, my next one I invested into when I was just before I turned 18. And that mentor said to me, excuse me, you have a solution to completely change somebody's life, right? So if you're on a call with somebody and they go, I'm unconfident, got a wedding coming up, don't really want to walk down the aisle, I feel nervous, I feel out of shape, I feel like everyone's watching me and I'm super unhealthy and my children are becoming unhealthy because of my habits, I need to transform. You go, this is my product, da, da, da. And if you don't kind of push that person to go, right, this is, you know, if you feel like I can't sell to this person, like it's salesy, I can't do that, I think it's selfish. You've got a solution to change this person's life. Again, if you're selling shit in a can and you're trying to sell to them, it's unethical, you're a bit of an arsehole. But if you've got a genuine solution to completely transform someone's life, you are doing them a disservice by not selling to them. And again, like I said, if you feel like if you have a product that can change your life. So if I'm on a sales call with somebody, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, and don't get me wrong, if I think this person's not a good fit, I won't sell to them. I won't. If I think I actually can't help this person, they go, I've got an MCL injury, my joints are all over the place, I need knee rehabilitation desperately. Not my area of expertise. I can do my best for you, but I recommend you go to a specialist. That ain't my area of expertise. I won't sell to them. Someone goes, I want to get in great shape for summer or a wedding coming up because I feel super unconfident and I've got bad habits and my health's all over the place. Right on my fucking street. Absolutely. I can change your life. If I don't sell to you in 6 months' time, you're still going to be unhealthy. Your kids are still going to be following your bad habits. You're just going to walk down the aisle full of like shit. So realistically, I've done you a disservice by not showing you how much I can really help you. So when somebody told me that it's actually in their best interest for me to sell to them because I can generally change their life, that changed the way I sold forever because I generally can help this person.
How do you always have that like conviction and confidence around selling in terms of knowing, into maybe like when you were like 18 getting into it and like you had like your first sales calls, like how do you
absolutely not. No, absolutely not. No, my first sales calls are all over the place. I almost tried to persuade them not to sign up just in case it weren't good enough. No, it's repetition. It's repetition. You know, it's the same with absolutely anything. And you know, everyone who's listening to this is probably a coach. They're probably into the gym. Someone wants to grow muscle. Repetition, right? Like everything is repetition. So for me, I just thought to myself, how can I get on that phone as much as I can? At first, I was shit at sales. So I just thought, well, at the time when I was really bad at sales, it was, how can I take every person who walks through the front door of the gym and give them a tour around the gym? How can I get as many of those as possible? So what I was thinking when I was a little bit younger was, okay, cool. There's 2 of us on shift. The person at the front of the gym is going to get to do the most tours. The person who's outside the gym has to do more of the cleaning of the toilets and the treadmills. They're probably not going to get as many because they're out on the gym floor. So then I used to think, right, when's our busiest times when people come into the gym? 6, 7 p.m. Great. I'll say to the person I'm on shift with, I'll clean for the first 2 hours, you do 2 hours, and I'll do 2 more hours. Great. I get the busiest part, so I'm getting repetition in. So I think if someone's online right now, you just got to be thinking, how can I get calls booked in? Offer them for free. Don't have no attachment. Don't say how much you got to invest to get on a call with me. Get on calls, get repetition in, and just practice and practice and practice, and it'll get better and better. So it's a cop-out answer because I know you want more specific solution, but it is repetition, and then just obviously, you know, training, watching videos, investing in mentors, and so forth.
And like you say as well, not overqualified qualifying leads, especially if you're not booking?
That's one of the biggest mistakes I made before. It was like, to get on a phone with me, you've almost got to tell me that you're going to pay exactly what I charge. Otherwise, I'm not. And that was my old mindset. I think what you need to look at is, if you're getting a plethora of sales calls, you're getting 5-6 sales calls every single day, you might want to qualify them a little bit more, right? Because time's a little bit more pressure. If you're not getting many sales calls in, stop qualifying so much. Like, there's going to be people that surprise you. Like, we had, we actually remember joining today. She's a single mother of 3, right? And she works 2 days a week in healthcare. And at first, I thought, this person's not going to join. And someone took the call, one of our closest took the call, joined up straight away, paid in full. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, I didn't realize. Like, that blows my mind. And I think, without going too much detail, she had a relative that's not with her anymore, and she wanted to invest into changing her health. But if you're not getting on the call and you're going, that person's not going to join, I'm going to cancel the call, you're never going to know. So I think for some people, it is getting on the phone as much as possible, unless you have loads of sales calls and you kind of need to qualify and weed some out just to save time.
I see. And then again, it'll depend, I guess, on where you're at, but what's the qualifying questions you have now, and what's the ones you would, I guess, recommend having if you're like trying to get to 5-6 calls a week?
So you got the normal ones. You got, again, try to keep it as minimal as possible, by the way. The least amount of questions you got, the better, to a degree. Get the information you need. But we have normal ones: name, email, phone number. Our setter will give them a call prior to the call, just to make sure our show up rates are in a good place. But then we'd ask, their goals, why they haven't hit them in the first place. Why they feel like they've been struggling to hit them to date. How motivated they are, 1 to 10. Their occupation. So, like, that's a slight qualifier. Their occupation, if they say I'm a full-time student, again, we probably would weed out, just because we got a high volume at the moment. But if we didn't, we might potentially, go with the idea of getting a call in just to get some reps in. So we ask occupation, and we say, so we can get an understanding of your activity and stresses at work. We do ask if they can invest, but we don't give them a number. So we say, if we could guarantee you a permanent body transformation, are you willing to invest into the outcome? Yes, can't wait. No, I don't. No, I'm not willing to invest. So we don't say this much for you, £5 to £6 a day or £6 to £7. We don't do none of that shit. We then say, please confirm that you're going to stay on the page as you get, go to our brochure page, which is our thank you page, FAQs, all that kind of fun stuff. There's a couple more for some man. I mean, if there is any coach watching this, they can just go onto my profile and click book a call and just kind of see the questions. And you're more than welcome to, we've kind of all got the same ones, let's be honest. So you're more than welcome to go in there and have a look at them. But they're the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I've got very like nitty gritty with that one. From like a mindset perspective, like business mindset perspective, you mentioned at the start, and you document like a lot of the cool stuff, like traveling, the car, like stuff like that, the dogs, the lifestyle. What's the balance? Again, maybe this is more of a personal kind of advice as well, but like, what's the balance between like you found in terms of like investing in yourself versus the business? Like, is there a balance? Is there a mindset behind being able to travel and like also get a return on that? And
I mean, do you mean how much you show,
or look after yourself, like, and invest into yourself, and then put the rest into the
I mean, it's important that you don't kind of neglect yourself. Like, I went through that period of time, man. I completely neglected myself for the business. I was a hermit crab, sat indoors all day, didn't train, my diet was shit, and I ran myself into the ground and had to go A&E for burnout. Like, I remember fainting. And I completely neglected myself for the business, and it weren't fulfilling. Like, now I allow myself to travel. I allow myself to, go to nice restaurants from time to time. Like, Bedros Keuilian says, he calls it millionaire experiences. So, like, travel business class one day. Like, you're not saying you've got to do it on every single trip, every single time you go, every single month. But every now and again, treat yourself to something. Because when you're experiencing, what could be, and you experience where you want to be, it almost kind of, A, makes you believe in yourself, shit, it's not as far away as I think. But B, it gives you a taste of the life that you're kind of working towards, right? The likelihood is, if you're a coach working online, you probably want freedom. Whether that's financial freedom, whether that's the freedom to transform lives everywhere, maybe that's locational freedom. If you want that, give yourself a taste of it. Go on holiday, take a laptop, do a bit of work, and just realize what it's like and get a taste for it. So for me, a big thing for me is always freedom. I grew up feeling very trapped. where we're from. And I just felt a little bit trapped, like in the UK as well. It's kind of that, it is kind of like that culture. It's almost like, stay safe, work 9 to 5 and, stay nice and trapped. And it's like, I didn't like it. I wanted to feel free. So for me, I'm building the business for freedom. So why would I not travel? Why would I not go to different countries? So like, I do think it's important to treat yourself. Again, that's not like going, right, you haven't invested nothing into the business. It's nowhere near where you need to be, but you're going to go splurge on a DL chop in Dubai Mall. Not saying that, right? You do need to put the graft in. You do need to live below your means for a little bit when you can just fucking get your head down and get stuff done. But when you start to, get a bit of momentum, treat yourself. I think it's important. I think it's really important as a business owner because it protects your own energy, your own fulfillment. You don't want to resent the business. I got to a point where I resented my business. I hated it. I wanted to quit because I hated it. Like every day I was just feeling sick and tired and unfulfilled. And when it got to a point where I started to live it a little bit more on my own terms, loved every second of it. I love talking to clients. I love transforming lives. I love helping people because I started to build it around me as opposed to building me around my business. I built my business around me.
Yeah, and I heard this somewhere in terms of it depends on how you grow up, I guess, with money. If you think it's meant to be extremely hard to make money, then you're going to have the tendency, like probably we both done, to just run yourself into the ground to make it as hard as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, what's the signs in terms of getting yourself out of that place of resentment from a business perspective, or like managing your energy? What's your like daily non-negotiables now?
Every single day I make sure I do something for me and something I enjoy. I make sure I work out or move my body every day. And just to kind of backtrack a little bit, like downtime doesn't have to be a first class flight to Miami. Like it could just be watching your favorite movie on the sofa. Like that's downtime. Grab a Nando's, watch your favorite film. I do that every Friday. Every Friday, without doubt, I'll have a takeaway Nando's, Deliveroo, and I watch a film. I love it. I'm a fucking nerd. I like it. I'm boring. So what? Daily non-negotiables. I like to train most days now. Whether that's an actual workout, I'm just moving my body. For me, it makes me feel good. I get fresh air, get my vitamin D, and I get a workout in. And I like to do something every day for me as well. So like, for instance, I play football. I still play semi-professional. And there's been many times where I thought about stopping because I wanted to spend more time in the business. So I thought so many times, like, as soon as we finish up this podcast, it's now 6:20. After this, I go to football around the corner. Still good standard and we still got to travel a lot. But every time I thought about quitting, and I say quitting, every time I thought about stopping football to give more time to my business, I kind of think about the bigger picture and think, okay, cool. I stopped the thing that I do really enjoy, time away from the office with the boys, having a good time, playing football. I think if I do give that up, spend more time in the business, I'm just going to get to that point of resentment again. That's my downtime. If it was my downtime, I'm going to keep it there because I enjoy it. A non-negotiable for me is downtime every week. Whether that's date night, you're going out with friends, do something every single week for you that's complete downtime. Like I said, it don't have to be a fucking first class flight to Miami. That could just be your favorite movie on the sofa, chilling out. It could be going for a long hike with your dog on the weekend. Whatever your version of downtime and enjoyment is, make sure you do it every single week, multiple times a week, because then you're going to start to realize, great, the reason I started a business is because I wanted to live life on my terms, and now I'm actually doing it, as opposed to just getting caught up in the weeds, resenting the business, and getting to a point where you go, I don't enjoy this anymore.
Yeah, and then similar to that, like what I actually find is the more you try and do it, the more you kind of get the fire to actually want to keep doing it otherwise.
Absolutely. I think it's also your creativity. I found I became so much more creative when I had downtime. My best ideas come from downtime. If I'm flying and watching a movie, best ideas come. If I'm reading a book in a bath, best ideas come. Like if I'm walking my dog, like the best ideas come when I'm not thinking about them and I'm not working. They come outside. That's when I'm most creative. And I think I would like to say one of my strengths within business is being creative and finding new ideas. And I think that comes primarily from when I'm having downtime. So for me, I protect that and make sure it's there.
And is that like typical thing of like you almost get paid to think rather than like execute and like
absolutely yeah. It's like, you know, Jeff Bezos don't package the parcels in Amazon, right? He makes 2 to 3 important decisions every day, and that's his job, right? We don't have businesses that are fucking $1 trillion, but it's, you know, success leaves clues, right?
And it's that as well. Like it's almost like it's easy to think of like all the possible like mistakes you can make, but at the same time, all you need to do is make one good decision within reason, and you probably feel like
you could be one decision away from changing your life. Absolutely. 100%. You could be one good, smart decision away from changing your life. 100%.
Yeah, so it's like not overwhelming that. And with a lot of these stuff you share and people really know about the football, they know about the traveling, all of those stuff, like how do you what's the concept in terms of, what's the advice in terms of maybe people scared to document or like actually create a personal brand? Maybe they're hiding behind a logo or they're branding up maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you're comfortable with, of course, right? Like, but the thing I would say is people buy people, right? Like, even if you look at the big brands like Nike, no one really buys a tick on a t-shirt. They buy maybe the athlete they resonated with. Kevin Hart, who wore a t-shirt, or LeBron James, or people buy people. So if you show you're a human, you show that, you know, you what you get up to on the weekend, your favorite kind of foods, you know, like for instance, and this is no joke, we signed up 3 clients we signed them up yesterday from a question box we done a couple of days ago. One of the questions I got in a question box was, what's your top 3 music genres? And I said it was R&B, hip hop, country. Then the next slide, I had a picture of my stereo in my car, and it said Luke Combs song. We had about 17 story replies from that, going, oh my God, I love Luke Combs as well, or fucking hell, I wasn't expecting that from you. Started loads of conversations. We started talking based off country music, which, by the way, this time last year I fucking hated, but I went to Nashville on a business event, and all the music was country, and it's brilliant. I thought, I like this music now. Luke Combs is one of my favorite artists. I spoke about that online. People got to know me as a person, right? I speak about my football. People know me. They feel like, you know, they understand me as a person. And when people feel like they know you, they trust you. If people feel like you're a stranger and you hide everything online, they don't trust you because you're just a stranger online. Like, why would you trust them? Like, you don't know nothing about them. So for me, I share, you know, so I don't have dogs myself. My parents' dogs are like, I share videos of them. One of my parents' dogs, Simba, is a chow chow. Looks like a fucking bear. Share them all the time on my stories. Engagement goes through the roof. It's brilliant. But people get to know me, right? They get to know who I am, and they get to know what I like and what I do, so they feel like they can trust me. And we have like things in common to talk about. So like the story about music, people replied to it and I started conversations, and 3 of those we booked in for calls, which was crazy, just because I said I like country music. And again, that transition into what's your fitness goals, that transition into their pain points and how we can potentially help them. But I think it's important to just be you online. Don't try and be someone you're not, but also show what you are, who you are, what you like to do. You know, that's one thing I remember saying to you, like, you love to travel around Europe. I was like, show people that. That's cool. Like, you go to cool places, show people, you know, tell people what you get up to. And, you know, would you say that's made a big difference for you as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think just being more like having a mix of the two it's been really powerful.
Absolutely.
It's for everyone, I guess it's easy. For me anyway, it's easy to like feel like you get judged online, and I guess maybe people have that as well sometimes. But
I mean, if I'm honest, someone told me this before as well. It's like, you know, you got to be, and yeah, take it with a pinch of salt, but pretty self-centered to think people really give a fuck. They don't. Like, people don't care. At one point, I was so worried about getting judged, but then I kind of came to realization, no one cares that much. Like, no one cares that much about my life to go, oh, he likes country music, he's an arsehole. Like, people don't care that much. And even if they do, like, it's so what? Like, it's life. It happens, right? You just kind of almost got to go, great, shrug it off. You're probably never going to buy from me anyway, so wish you all the best. You show yourself when you get up to, people see it and they swipe onto the next story and they swipe onto the next one and onto the next one. They don't overthink and go, oh, yeah, he's an arsehole, him. Like, you get some keyboard warriors, but realistically, like, you know, it's going to happen from time to time, but people don't care that much to really sit there all day and spend their 24 hours thinking about the fact that you like country music or your dog's a chow chow, not a Labrador. Like, you know, I just think it's maybe something that people overthink.
And it's that as well, like in terms of actually playing out what you've done, is like playing out the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario of actually documenting that is some guy with an anonymous picture giving you a...
Yeah, user 1794 said you... I get the time, so we run some ads and I get people commenting saying, you sound like Dappy, why does this kid sound Jamaican? It's like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't think user 1494 said you sound like a prick. Oh, fucking hell, what am I going to do with myself? It's quite funny, actually. One of my other mentors when I was younger, His name was Ajit. He was the owner of a gym in Crawley called Energy Fitness. It's where I went to after Solon Fitness. And I was sitting down with him one day, and we were discussing about, so at the time I was doing 10 free hours for the gym to cover rent, and I train my clients in the gym. And I was sitting down with one, and he was trying to get me to go paid rent. So I was like, fucking hell, like I don't have that many clients. I don't want to pay rent at the moment because I'm scared I don't have enough clients to come in. And he goes, Reece, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? He goes, let's say, and he had my best interest at heart, to be fair. He wasn't just trying to get my money for rent. He generally had my best interest at heart. He goes, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, paint the worst case scenario. I go, well, I can't pay rent. He goes, what then? He goes, well, I'll pick up some paid shift hours. Great. So is the worst case scenario really that bad? And I go, no. He goes, where I'm from. So he is from, I believe it was India. And he goes, if I went all in and I didn't achieve it, I'd probably be on the street and I probably wouldn't be able to feed my family. He said, but he's like, there's so much opportunity. Like, really, what right here, what's the worst thing that can happen? I was like, you fucking, all right, get me on the hour. I'll pay the rent. Like, you painted a perfect picture. What is the worst that can happen? You post a picture of your dog showing a bit of personality. What's the worst that's going to happen? You tell people online what music you enjoy. What's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to say you got a shit taste. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want coaching or not? I'm joking. But yeah, I think like you said, paint the worst case scenario. Is it actually that bad?
Yeah, it gives you that bit of freedom, like you say, in terms of being able to like sharing it. It's one of those that it compounds as well, like a personal page just compounds and it builds up. What from a the content perspective and that kind of journey and lesson over that those 17, 18, getting into that, what do you feel like would be like the one lesson you'd give yourself if you could, like, in terms
back to 17, 18 years old?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting question. What's the one piece of, I get asked this question all the time and it always stumps me. One piece of advice to myself at 17, 18 is just bet on yourself, I would say. I was an overthinker, but I didn't really believe in myself. And the reason I didn't was because growing up, I would go on loads of trials for professional football clubs. And every time they say you're good enough for trial, but I never got a contract. So I used to think I'm not good enough. Like my thought to myself was, I keep getting trials and this is like the 6th professional club that said no to a contract. Like, I'm not good enough. And I had that kind of ingrained in me. So I think if I could be a fly in the wall and I could speak to myself when I was sitting in the office at, say, in Energy Fitness, I'd probably say, bet on yourself a bit more. You've got what it takes to make it work. Just fucking go and get it. I guess that's what I'd probably say to myself.
And then actually the last thing on that, segueing a little bit from that one, is it's a bit of maybe a tricky one, but like, do you ever have it where you think, I've done all right at the moment? Like, do you ever get a period where you're like, you want to slow down or you want to like feel like you've quote unquote made it and you get a fear of like going backwards? Never. How do you keep yourself?
I never get that. I never get that. I just can't stop. Like, I have a vision. Like, I think this is why you need to set fucking big goals. And if you creep up next to them, fucking set them even bigger. Like, don't get me wrong, like, your idea of what a big goal is will change. Like, I set goals when I was like 18, sitting in that room when I didn't really believe in myself, that I achieved within like 6 months. And it's like, realistically, you need to set big goals. So like, I'm not saying unrealistic, but big. So for me, I don't get complacent because my vision is just so big of what I want to do. So my advice for somebody who feels like they are getting complacent is to sit down and really come to terms with, what do you actually want to do in the industry? Like, what do you really want to achieve in your life? So like, I would go to the degree of picturing it as, I want to live in this country. I want this many children. This is the type of relationship I want. This is the type of business I want. When I've got to a certain point, this is where I want to diversify. This is the investments I want to wear. I go all the way. And until I'm sitting there in that exact position, I don't have reason to rest. So take it with a pinch of salt. But that for me, if someone's kind of getting complacent, and don't get me wrong, if they're happy with where they're at and they go, do you know what? I make a comfortable living. I do X amount per month. I pay my bills. I can kind of do what I want. I feel good. Like, I'm happy here. So I'm okay to slightly hit that break because I'm comfortable. fair fucking play. Like, if that's you, great. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's your life. You live it however you want. You know, that's great. And I'm happy for you. For me, I haven't hit my goal. So until I do, which is very far away because I set big ones, like, I just have to keep going until I get there. So I just can't, my brain can't fathom complacency.
It's one thing that, like, I think to myself as well, sometimes it's like, with the wrong mindset, it's easy to just blow it just for the sake of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
And Reece, where can people find you? So, like, from this podcast, if they want to keep look at the watch more of the engaging content, they want to.
Absolutely. So I mean, best place is probably Instagram at Reece Hallard, REECEHALLARD, and we're the same across most platforms: LinkedIn, TikTok. We don't really use that much, to be fair. Facebook. So yeah, just Reece Hallard.
Amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in to this podcast. Reece, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, dude. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome.